Have you ever felt that sinking feeling of guilt when you procrastinate or just totally frustrated that you can't seem to stick to your goals, no matter how badly you want to? Yeah, we've all been there. Today, we're going to tear that whole idea apart and find out why it happens. All right, let's get into it. This is the question, isn't it? It's that little voice in your head that says, maybe I'm just lazy, or I just don't have enough willpower. It feels like a deep, personal failing. But what if, and this is a big what if that entire idea is just plain wrong? That's right, your brain says no. The problem isn't your character, it's your wiring. And what we're about to explore isn't some feel-good metaphor, it's a neurobiological fact. Your struggle with discipline isn't your fault. It's actually a design conflict between your ancient brain and the crazy modern world we live in. So, let's start with this first big idea, what I like to call the discipline delusion. We're going to see exactly why trying to just force yourself to be disciplined is, well, almost always a losing battle. Okay, look at this. This slide really gets to the heart of it. On the left, you've got the story we've all been told our whole lives, but on the right, that's the reality. The people who seem the most disciplined, they aren't superhuman. They're just better architects. They don't fight their brains, they build systems that make the right thing the easy thing to do. To really get this, we've got to pop the hood and look at our brain's operating system. And you know what? We're running on some seriously ancient software. It was designed for a completely different world. And it all boils down to this one core concept called cognitive ease. Your brain isn't really built to be a rational, long-term planner. No, it's an efficiency machine. So if you give it two options, it will almost always automatically pick the one that requires less energy right now, even if it's the worst choice for you in the long run. And this is exactly why. For literally millions of years, survival depended on these three simple rules. Getting a quick reward, like food, was way more important than some abstract future plan. And conserving energy? Absolutely critical. You had to save it for when you really needed it. That exact same software is still running in your head today. And that is the conflict. Your hunter-gatherer brain wants to scroll through social media because it's easy and it gives you a quick reward now. But you want to go to the gym, which is hard and only pays off much, much later. See, you're not weak. You're just running ancient software in a modern world. It's a total mismatch. So if brute force and willpower are out, what's the alternative? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. The answer is to stop focusing so much on what's going on inside your head and start focusing on the world outside of it, your environment. That's the real architect of your behavior. I love this quote from James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits. It just nails it. If you're constantly having to rely on motivation to get things done, it's a sign that your environment is poorly designed. The goal is to create a space where the right actions just happen, almost automatically. And the fancy term for this strategy is choice architecture. But really, it's a super simple idea. It's just the art of setting up your world so that the path of least resistance leads directly to your goals. You're not trying to become a more disciplined person, you're just changing the choices in front of you. This example is just perfect. This cafeteria, they didn't run some big campaign about staying hydrated. They didn't lecture anybody. Nope, they simply made water more visible and easier to grab than the soda. And of course, it worked. That is choice architecture in its purest form. Okay, so we get the why. We understand why our environment is so powerful. Now for the fun part, the how. This is your practical blueprint, your step-by-step guide to actually building the habits you want. But before we jump into the four main laws, I want to share this really cool trick called habit stacking. Think about it. Your brain already runs on autopilot for tons of things, right? Like brushing your teeth or making coffee. So you just piggyback a new habit onto one of those. You hijack the momentum. For example, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for just 1 minute. Simple. And here they are, the 4 laws of behavior change. To build a good habit, you have to design it to be obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. And the best part, if you want to break a bad habit, you just flip them on their head. Make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. And this right here is a total game changer. I want you to stop thinking of procrastination as you being lazy. Instead, think of it as a feedback signal. It's like a check engine light. It's your brain telling you that the thing you're trying to do, it's just not obvious, attractive, easy, or satisfying enough yet. It is a design problem, not a character problem. Now, this table makes it so clear. On the left, that's the struggle, right? That's what most of us do, high friction. But look at the right. We just apply the 4 laws. We make the cue obvious, the books are already out. We make it attractive, we pair it with a nice drink. We make it so ridiculously easy, just 5 minutes, that you can't say no. And we make it satisfying. You get to check a box. This is how you work with your brain. Okay, now we're gonna take this to the deepest level, because this goes way beyond just productivity hacks or getting more done. This is about fundamentally changing who you are.
Here's another killer quote that just drives the point home. Your goals, that's your destination. It's where you want to go. But your systems, your daily habits, that's the vehicle that actually gets you there. Your success isn't determined by your big ambitions, but by the quality of your small daily routines.
We get so obsessed with the outcome. I want to write a book. I want to get in shape. We focus on the what. But you know what? That's not where the real lasting change happens. Lasting change comes from shifting your identity. It's not about going for a run, it's about becoming a runner. It's not about writing a chapter, it's about becoming a writer. The behavior just naturally follows the identity. So how do you do that? It's simpler than you think. Every single time you sit down to study for 5 minutes, you are casting a vote for being a studious person. Every time you put on your running shoes, even for a short walk, you're casting a vote for being a runner. These tiny votes build up over time until your new identity just becomes your reality. Discipline isn't an effort anymore, it's just a reflection of who you are. So that's what I want to leave you with today. Instead of asking yourself about some massive, scary goal, just ask this: what is the first small habit you're going to redesign? What is the first tiny vote you can cast for the person you want to become? Because the real work, the real change, it starts right there.